When a little girl calls 911 and says, "Mommy has been sleeping for a very long time," rescuers expect a routine check. But what they discover goes far beyond the ordinary. Here's the extraordinary story of a child's bravery, a mother's survival, and a revelation that forever transformed an entire community. Stay with us because this might concern something everyone should watch for at home. Also, please tell us where you're listening from, and if you enjoy similar stories, subscribe for more tales. Let's begin. Sofia Martinez, an energetic 4-year-old with a bold temperament, woke up to an unusual calm in their modest apartment in Chicago's South Side. Usually her mother, Maria Martinez, would greet her with a warm "Buenos dias" and the aroma of breakfast being prepared, but today the atmosphere remained frozen and her mother hadn't even stirred. "Mommy," Sofia whispered, gently shaking Maria. Her mother didn't respond. Sofia tried again, this time louder, but Maria remained motionless. Anxiety began to creep in. She glanced at the clock. It was already 8 o'clock, well past their usual routine. Sofia's stomach growled, but her worry for her mother overshadowed her hunger. Gathering her courage, she tiptoed toward the kitchen. No sound of crackling bacon, no clatter of coffee cups, only silence. The emptiness seemed strange and unsettling, as if the apartment itself was holding its breath. Every corner of the home was wrapped in a heavy, disturbing stillness, amplifying Sofia's growing anxiety. Memories of the emergency drills her mother had made her practice flashed through her mind. Maria had always been strict about teaching Sofia how to react in crises, instructing her with precise steps and directions. "If anything is ever wrong, Sofia, call 911, she had repeated countless times, in a firm but loving tone. Maria's insistence on these drills had sometimes seemed excessive to Sofia, but now her lessons appeared as the most crucial thing in the world. With trembling hands, Sofia grabbed the phone mounted on the wall. The plastic felt cold and heavy in her grip, and she hesitated for a moment, questioning whether she was doing the right thing. But the silence surrounding her convinced her otherwise. As her fingers hovered over the buttons, a tear slipped down her cheek. "I have to save Mommy," she whispered, gathering every bit of courage she possessed. Sofia dialed 911 with her small, uncertain fingers, her pinky accidentally pressing 2 buttons simultaneously before she corrected herself with a small sigh. Her heart was racing when the line connected, and she pressed the receiver firmly against her ear, resting her cheek against it. 911, what's your emergency?" asked a soothing voice, reminiscent of a kind teacher from her school. Sofia swallowed, her lip trembling. "Mr. 911, me mommy has been sleeping for a very, very long time and she won't wake up. I really, really tried," she said in a weak, wavering voice, her words pouring out hurriedly. The operator's voice softened instantly. "Oh, sweetheart, you did exactly the right thing by calling. Can you give me your address so we can help your mama?" she asked tenderly. Sofia nodded, though the operator couldn't see her. "It's 402 Maple Street, apartment 5B. That's where we live. You have to come very fast, okay?" "I'll make sure of that," the operator promised. "Can you stay on the phone with me, Sofia?" "Si," she whispered, her voice barely audible. She positioned herself on the windowsill, hugging her knees and watching the street below, her small hands turned white, gripping the phone with both palms. The street looked so ordinary, a lady walking her dog, a man carrying groceries. How was it possible that everything seemed so normal when her world was completely turned upside down? "Are you still there, Sofia?" the operator asked in a kind voice, pulling Sofia from her swirling thoughts. "Si," Sofia murmured, wiping her nose with her sleeve. "But can you come faster? Mommy always makes me pancakes, and today she didn't make any. She never misses pancake day." "I know this must be really scary, but you're so brave, Sofia," said the operator, her voice warm like hot chocolate on a cold day. "Tell me, was Mommy feeling sick yesterday?" Sofia sniffled again. "She said she was exhausted. I told her to take a siesta, but she's sleeping too long. I don't think naps are supposed to last this much." Her voice cracked on the last word. "You're doing such an excellent job, sweetheart," the operator reassured. "Help is almost there. Just keep talking to me until they arrive, okay?" When Officer Carlos Mendez and paramedic Sarah Wilson arrived, they were greeted by Mr. Robert Johnson, the building's superintendent. He was fixing a pipe on another floor when he heard the commotion and came to help. Together they quickly headed to the Martinez apartment, the urgency palpable. The jingling of keys in Mr. Johnson's hands seemed incredibly slow to Sophia, who watched from the window as the responders arrived. "Mrs. Martinez, this is the police," Officer Mendez called, knocking firmly on the door. No response. Hearing voices outside, Sophia climbed on a stool to reach the lock. Her small hands fumbled, the mechanism resisting her efforts. Her heart pounded as the stool swayed under her feet. With one final push, the door creaked open. Officer Mendez crouched to Sophia's eye level. "You're doing magnificently, little one," he said in a warm, reassuring voice. Sophia stepped aside as the responders entered, her small figure trembling as she gripped the doorframe for support. Maria lay motionless on the bed, her breathing shallow, each rise and fall of her chest nothing but a fragile whisper of life. Paramedic Wilson's eyes scrutinized Maria with sharp precision, her well-practiced movements quick but deliberate. The atmosphere in the room seemed charged with unspoken anxiety as Wilson grabbed her stethoscope, her fingers skillfully checking Maria's pulse. "Her vitals are weak," she murmured quietly, a slight crease forming on her forehead. Turning to Officer Mendez, her tone took on a tone of resolute urgency. "We're running out of time. She needs to be transported to the hospital immediately," she declared, her voice calm but filled with urgency. As they prepared Maria for transport, Officer Mendez's attention was drawn to the subtle but particular atmosphere of the room. The air carried an acrid, musty smell, suggesting microbial growth, an odor that clung to the walls and seemed to permeate every surface. He opened the windows to let in fresh air, but his trained eyes searched the room, scrutinizing the space. Something about the slight discoloration in the corners and the stagnant heaviness of the air awakened suspicion in him. "This isn't just exhaustion," he murmured, his voice low but firm. His forehead creased as he mentally catalogued the clues. Maria's shallow breathing, her skin's pallor, and the slight bluish tint around her lips. "Hypoxia," he noted, probably exacerbated by prolonged exposure to an invisible environmental danger. His instincts screamed toxicity from Stachybotrys chartarum mold, commonly called black mold, a silent but deadly invader. Officer Mendez leaned closer to the air ducts, his flashlight revealing faint black streaks. "We might have a mycotoxin problem here," he said, glancing at the paramedics. "This could explain her respiratory distress and neurological symptoms." Sophia clung to her mother's hand as the paramedics transported her on a stretcher. "You're very brave," Officer Mendez said, ruffling her hair. "You did what needed to be done." Those words brought little comfort to Sophia, but she nodded solemnly. While Maria was rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, Officer Mendez and Mr. Johnson stayed to investigate. They followed the strange smell that led them to the air ducts. What they discovered was alarming: black mold, hidden in the walls and ducts. Toxic spores had been silently invading the apartment for months, not only making Maria seriously ill, but also subtly affecting other residents of the building. Complaints about persistent migraines, unexplained fatigue, chronic cough, and sinus problems had been dismissed as simple seasonal illnesses or minor colds, but now the real cause was evident. "This is serious," Mendez declared grimly as he straightened up. "We need to evacuate the building immediately and inform residents of the potential health risks." Mr. Johnson's face paled as the gravity of the situation sank in. "I'll alert the tenants," he said, already reaching for his phone. "I also need to call a professional environmental team. This is more serious than just cleaning air ducts. This is a public health emergency." Meanwhile, Sophia and Maria stayed with Maria's sister, Carmen, in Evanston. Maria, now conscious but weakened, kept thanking Sophia for her courage. "You saved me, mi amor," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Her voice was fragile, but her gratitude was infinite. Sophia's days were spent beside Maria, reading to her, drawing, and trying to make her smile again. Despite the fear and confusion, Sophia felt growing pride. She had faced something terrifying without backing down. Her courage inspired her aunt Carmen to fight for tenant rights in unsafe housing, a cause close to her heart but one she had never acted on before. Years later, Sophia stood proudly in her paramedic uniform on her first day of work. The memory of that morning in the Chicago apartment fueled her passion. She was ready to make a difference, just as she had done as a child. One evening, Sophia returned to her old building. Completely renovated and mold-free, it was teeming with life again. She smiled, remembering how her courage, at age 4, had triggered a chain of events that saved not only her mother, but the entire community. As parents, how would you teach your child to handle an emergency like Sophia did? What steps would you take to ensure they're prepared for unexpected situations? Share your ideas and advice in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.